information. I want to present about these roundtable discussions. We are the World Language Department. Ms. Pardo, Ms. Margaret, and I are happy to share an activity that we really like, and our students enjoy a lot because they feel like they are more comfortable with participating in larger groups. When they take the IB test, they feel less anxious, and I think that the beauty of this type of activity is that they feel empowered because they own the activity. But basically what really kind of motivate us to be here presenting is this video that we received from a colleague that was covering one of the classes. Señorita, you want to read the email?
I'm literally just sitting in a world language classroom while the IB Spanish B1 class is having a discussion about the...
We try new ideas, new strategies, but I think that what really works in my department is that we have a really solid vertical planning. So for example, Ms. Pardo teaches level 1 and level 2, so she incorporates these activities in her classes, so when they are juniors and seniors, they are more than ready. Thank you, Ms. Pardo. So we hope that you really enjoy this activity and that you find it useful. Ms. Pardo.
Okay, so the agenda. What we are going to do is cover the objectives of the activity. We are going to look at a video clip, tiny video clip, and then you are going to do some practica. So basically the objective is to,
That's right.
okay. The objective is to develop interpersonal communication, which is communicated orally, to be ready for the final assessment of the IB. It's basically what we do. We are practicing with the standard 53, basically for that. That one is the final purpose.
Okay, great. Already loose. So we got a little video clip for you, if the technology doesn't try to kill me. All right. So what you're seeing here is the second part of 3 parts of a roundtable discussion. The first part is the planning. What you're seeing here is their actual discussion. So they are discussing right now the advantages and disadvantages of alternative and modern medicine, both in their own lives and in the lives of people in Spanish-speaking countries. So part of what you heard was a student explaining, modern medicine in other countries looks different than it does here in the United States. So why might we choose different forms of medicine based on where we live and our own personal stuff? Here what you're seeing is a student who is the moderator for his roundtable explaining basically what happened. He's giving a small recap of the best and the areas that need improvement. So he's talking about the most important ideas that came up, the best things that were said, and the ways in which his group members can continue.
Okay. So now we are going to do practica. So are you doing the practica? Everybody has one color, and you are either participant, you are captain, or you are moderator back in that case. So the section has 3 different subsections. So it's the pre-planning, the during activity, and the post-activity that is done by the moderator, telling us what happened in each table. So right now you have 3 minutes to get prepared.
Okay, Capitanes, open up the folder and you have a roll.
Mine nothing.
Oh, I don't have a all right. I think I should move to a different table. No. The menu say all right, directions.
You want to?
Quite all right. I appreciate your sensational
spirit and your willingness to share.
All right. You guys have 3 minutes to prepare. You guys have 5 minutes to talk about it. You're going to look and analyze and interpret the source, silent individual work. You're going to then create an outline. You're going to be ready to participate in the interaction.
Is it able to be
Yes, thank you. Oh yeah, you guys all signed in?
There's pencils right here.
All right. So you guys are going to look at, analyze, interpret the source. All right. Then you're going to create an outline. This is all individual. We're going to about 3 minutes to do that. In about 5 minutes, we're going to start to interact with each other about this.
We're creating an outline about the picture?
Yes. Look at it, analyze it, your interpretation.
Come up with 3 ideas.
Okay. Great.
Yeah, okay. It says, distribute my direction, distribute directions, so directions to resistance, analyze and interpret the source, decide and create an outline, be ready to participate in the interaction.
What's your interpretation?
So we have 3 times.
Okay, class. After the Capitan read the introductions, you have 3 minutes silent work. Now you are writing your ideas. What are you going to talk about this picture, about the topic? It should be a silent work. So let's go.
Would you like me to repeat those directions?
We're right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Observation.
Yeah.
Please, Dan.
Okay. Interpret that picture. Give me a little summary.
write it down.
Yeah, please.
My question will be first. Thank you.
So you're doing a fantastic job keeping your eyes on your own paper.
Are you not supposed to be writing now?
I'm the captain, no.
Oh, so you're just leading.
Yeah,
Supposed to be encouraging us,
Okay.
motivating us.
I want to be
driving
quiet
us.
because I know sometimes people can't concentrate while I talk and they're trying to, write stuff down. So. I can't concentrate. I'm so sorry.
Can you go to the bathroom?
Absolutely.
Gracias.
I thought this was supposed to be silent planning
Very
time.
behavior muy mal. Looking at my paper.
Thank you.
Nice job, Mr. Wolf.
Un minuto.
You didn't say nice job to me.
There's no wrong answer. It's your opinion.
Can't wait until you give all of us trophies.
Participation grade. You guys are all good.
Okay, so now your moderadores are going to be with you leading the discussion. Moderadores, you want to go to your table and start the discussion. So here are your, you're gonna use the rubric. Remember the
Well, look how good his lineup is here. Maybe he's like, oh, I tried all these like 6 hours ago. Because I don't know if you noticed, but it's 4:05.
And it says Monday blue.
Yeah.
So I just figured he was sad and bored. And the workday's over and he's ready to go home. He can't because it's not 5 o'clock.
In the process of shooting,
Yeah, he's doing
he's going to shoot it. I also want to like to start. I like to think of this like he hit the top of the board. That would be like a D or like a 6
Well, it looks like this.
maybe always that.
We don't even know if you like something about
Deeper.
I know.
If that was his first.
I feel like
anything on his own, he's get better at it. He's trying
approaches and
Seal. Maybe he had started way over there.
You could do this a lot of 4 to 5. You might.
Maybe, I was thinking
And then
because
something about
he tried these like throughout the day. Like maybe he tried one and then he went and like tried to figure something out and came back. And so maybe this is like, you know, his last attempt over like the full work day. And he's been trying to like something like that to figure out how to do this. Yeah, you guys
Okay, moderadores, moderadores, now you have 1 minute to report out what happened in your table, in your discussion. Remember, you need to share what was unique about the discussion and some suggestions for the group. Who wants to start first? Thank you.
We have full participation from my group.
Okay, any ideas or opinions that were kind of really unique or neat?
I think we touched upon it when we asked the question, explain how this picture is a fixed mindset. Based off of what we know, we feel like the group discussed on how the individual was shooting it from the same spot and over and over. So he's fixated on doing it his way, even though he was failing over and over or missing the target.
Do you have any suggestions for your participants? Any suggestions? Any?
They nailed it on that.
Beautiful. Any other moderador?
So our group noticed that he tried several times with the arrows that he did hit the target once, and then it's trying to still continue to meet the target, and that it's about the journey and how we get there, and that we learn from that process, and that there's not, just because there shows one outcome to get to be successful at the activity, that we need to realize that there are several ways. Then Ms. Damla got off task and she was talking about cutting herself. If she didn't meet the thing, and then she said that she was gonna try using a tub and not fill it up because it was a fixed mindset.
I said he would cut
So what would be the sugerencia for you?
That they need to stay on task.
Okay, muy bien.
Our group, I thought there was a lot of recognition of the things that we didn't know by looking at the picture instead of what we did know, which actually was a really good thing. Like when asked about their feelings, like the fact that the person doesn't have a mouth, it makes it so that we don't know as much. We don't know if he keeps going and picking up these arrows and trying again, or if this was like one shot. We don't know if that arrow in the target was arrow number 1 or number 6 or number 3. And we don't know, since it's 4:05, if he's been doing this all day or if he's just been doing this in the last 5 minutes. And I think I would just say to my group that they just keep questioning with each other, which they were already starting to do. I think that it's great questioning of each other's opinions and ideas was really good.
And that's what is this activity. Start questioning each other when they were discussing.
The Orange Group did a great job taking different pieces of evidence from the source and supporting their ideas with those pieces of evidence. They also did a very nice job at some points of using language conventions for group conversations. Donnie earned himself a couple of laser bucks. And I would recommend to my group that they develop that some more and use those terms, double down, piggyback, all those other things, just to keep the conversation being more dynamic and interactive.
Very good, so we get students.
All right, our group did a great job as well. They posed. Oh, sorry. I got super excited. I just wanted to point out what a great job they did.
No, I think she should take over, quite frankly, because I think she had a much better grasp of what was going on.
That was your role.
What?
That is your role, being a moderator.
I know, that's what I was trying to.
Okay. Ms. Green, do you want to report out to the group?
Yeah, so. Just that they interacted well. Everybody had something to contribute. I really have to say the content of what was said kind of left me. All I can really comment on is how well they were able to interact and let each other speak. The group dynamic was great. I can say that I was not focused on my task, mostly because I didn't understand my task. And so that really, I appreciate this so much because now I understand fully what a kid feels like in class when they are totally lost and everybody else knows what they're doing.
Yeah, thank you.
So that was huge.
Thank you.
So that I appreciate very much, and I want to make another bookmark instead.
Ms. Aslan, can you help me with that? Pardon? Just another bookmark.
Okay.
Okay, so one more question for my moderators. Did anyone in the table connect this topic with another topic that is related to growth mindset and fixed mindset? Did they bring, because one of the, in your rubric, one of the things is that go beyond just this topic. Anybody in your table besides the off task? Okay. Do you want to share it?
Yeah, share it.
I talked about reliability versus validity in assessments, and the fact, like, just looking at the bullseye, and if this person is having a hard time hitting the bullseye, it means that, like, maybe the assessment is not reliable nor valid.
Great, great. So do you choose this activity in your classes? Because basically that's what our world language students do in our classes. We give them a picture related to a specific topic, and they have to have these kind of conversations. So who wants to share, like, do you have an idea how can you implement
your own
this
classes.
activity in your own subject, in your own class? And I think that you can work for any subject. Any ideas? Yes?
I don't know if I'm using words correctly right now, but I feel like specifically in design class, when students are like developing and creating and trying to connect their ideas to like the real world, that sometimes maybe even starting units a little differently and having them explore something visual versus them creating right off the bat might give, like, in their groups, a little bit more language and conversation about what they're doing and maybe spark new ideas than just having to come up with stuff without that on their own.
Great.
I think that's
Good ideas.
In IB Visual Arts, they're always trying to ground their ideas into people and places and parts of our history that came before they're creating. So we're always trying to put our feet in art history, but if they're looking at a common source like this together, they'll be sharing ideas. There's a lot of times when the other person's like, I totally didn't see that. And so I think that warm-up helps them to start to see that there's a lot more that they can find because their peers around them are able to locate it, and I think it kind of helps them see to keep looking and kind of want to discover some of that stuff, like in literature, how you can go deeper and deeper into the book.
I was going to say that, yeah, in literature, for example, the picture analysis, I think, is really a good way to look at what we're studying in context. Take a picture from that period when that literature was created so they can really get the idea of where this person created that piece of literature in context to the rest of the events in history.
Gracias.
We do a lot of document analysis in social studies, and we don't always use text, like sometimes it's an image, and I think that this would be a great activity for students, when given an image, because sometimes they seem to be a little more like, oh, I don't know what to look for, and so it kind of mellows the playing field a little bit.
Yeah, I think like for any subject, a lot of students are like, why is this important? What is the purpose of this? So giving students a picture of the application to the real world, like for math, like bringing statistics and looking at like the equity and resources after Hurricane Katrina in New Orleans and looking at a picture of that devastation and seeing like, how can that relate to math? Or what is like this picture of animal testing and operations about the social justice of animal cruelty and preventions in science experiments? What does this picture have to do with what we're going to be learning? Or in literature, like how does this one picture relate to the book that we're going to be studying? Or like Ms. Johnson said, like the time period. Or for history, like what is this one like picture tell us about this time in history or give us some context here? So I think like for any subject, it really gives the students some purpose. Like what does this look like in the real world, either now or in the past?
Great, thank you.
Very good. Any questions, suggestions? Yes.
How did you set up, and how long did it take for the students to understand what the role of a moderator is, or what the role of a table captain is?
It takes a lot of practice, but whenever we do these activities, I kind of basically, I say, well, it's randomly, but strategically, I choose. So basically, if you notice, when I was giving the moderador, basically, I know that that person is going to dominate the conversation in the table. I'm sorry, but that's why I said, well, this person has to be a moderador. Because they are only questioning, they are only asking the questions. So this person has to be among the rest. So basically, I know my students, I choose, not only that, I choose in which group are they going to be. Because I don't want to put a student who is a high level, with an standard level, because guess what? They're going to feel intimidated. So I choose like the same level. It depends on the picture, depends on the context. That's how I organize and decide who's going to be in that group.
And also for the question for the moderators, sometimes you know that they are not going to be able to create good, interesting questions because the topic. So you give them hints, okay? So let's start with this question initially. Remember, we have 7 levels of questions. In this case, we can do yes or no questions. but the purpose is to do reflexive questions. So level 7, so use the question words, what, where, what, don't. So in that way, we can guide how they create the different questions.
But you have the upper ones and you know them. Who teaches the freshmen and how long does it take for you?
Ms. Pardo chooses the freshman.
So how long does it take for them to get used to this?
The thing is that I love proficiency. So from day one, my only language is Spanish, also because I don't speak English. So, and they know that. So once they enter in the classroom, they don't listen to me speaking in English. And it's true, I don't know English. So if I speak in English, I'm going to make sure they make more mistakes. So forget about that. So from the very beginning, they are used to the language. And if they are used to the language, even in the novice levels, they are able to articulate, because the first thing that you teach them is question words. What, where? And we play with those. Okay, so let's take a look at this picture and see what questions you can apply. What, where, how? And they start creating the sentence.
But
And
the
over
kids
and over.
The kids start building the confidence in the student. So start with simple topics, simple pictures, and give them the ability to own the activity. This is my activity, I can ask questions, and rotate the moderador. Sometimes the way I modify it when I want one of my students to gain confidence, I create the questions for the moderadores. They just need to kind of guide, lead, and evaluate, that's all. But I create the questions sometimes.
And they feel happy when they have that, because they feel the ownership in the table. Oh, it's me leading this. And they are learning in the language, and they say, oh, I am using the language. This is my first year on level.
So I think it's time. Thank you so much for being part of this activity. I'm glad that you were active, and hopefully that will be something for your classes.
I'm sorry. I put some sticky notes on the page. If you have some questions or suggestions, please. You can read that question.
Preguntas o sugerencias.